title of the sermon is Spirit Practice, and we're in the midst of rethinking church. Some of you have your badges on. And it's a great website. If you have a computer, I really recommend you go and look it up. If you don't, go to your grandchildren or somebody that's got a computer and have them look it up. All you got to do is Google Rethink Church, and you'll see it all there. And they change it almost every day, if not every day, every week, with all the good news about the church to which we are part of, the United Methodist Church. And a couple of the lead-ins that we've used that's on the site is, what if the church was a verb? And then as a follow-up, it says, what if church was not a place, but what you do? Something to think about. I don't know if you caught it on the news this last week, but the reporters reported on religion in the United States. And they pointed out in the article that only 23% of the people now attend religious services on a regular basis, which is quite a drop. And the article went on to point out that people today are not so much interested in religion as in spirituality. And they do not identify themselves as religious people, but as spiritual people. That is something to take to heart as we rethink church. For spirituality is and has always been a deep part of what it means to be a Methodist and what it means to be a Christian. And so I've titled this sermon today, Spirit Practices, to begin to look at that whole picture of ourselves, because our church is made up of spirit practices. Now, what they mean by religion is dogma. People are not interested in dogma. People are not interested either in arguing about interpretations of Scripture, which will disappoint all us theologians and biblical scholars. What they're interested in is spirituality that allows them to know themselves in their deeps and to be able to be related in a constructive way to the world and the universe in which they live. Setting bells off? Anything come to mind? In spirit practices, I want to just briefly touch on the spirit practices that all of us have in our repertoire to one extent or another. There is meditation. There is contemplation. There is prayer. And there is feasting and fasting. All of these are spirit practices. If you go to the Bible, you'll find all this. In terms of meditation, it's very popular today. I would have you hold up your hands, if you would, of how many of you have meditated. How many of you have taken a course in meditation? How many of you have read a book about meditation or an article about meditation? Meditation is kind of popular. Doctors use meditation now to lower your blood pressure. And most meditation always starts with your breath, your life. And you breathe deeply, and not only does it clear your mind, if you ask your mind to be cleared, it relaxes your body, and thusly it lowers your blood pressure. If you look in the Bible, you will see many references to meditation, especially about meditating on the Word all day and all night. Meditation is a part of human experience, and we all do it. Some of you will remember driving down the highway and listening to the radio on your trip, and you heard a particular tune, and it reminded you of a wonderful summer. And you remembered the boy or the girl prancing on the beach, And then you begin to remember other people and other events. And your meditation sort of goes out like this. And meditation is about building relationship. It's something that we do day and night. I would imagine that before we go to sleep at night, whether we mean to or not, that we begin to meditate either on our day or on our hopes and dreams, on our problems. Meditation is a function of human life. You can learn to use it. Meditation can also use you. You've probably noticed that you've got tunes stuck in your head and you try to get them out, and you're eating your meal and there's that tune again and all those memories, and you shake your head and try to think about something else, and by the afternoon there it is again, and you know about that, and it just goes on for days and days, and then it disappears. The power of meditation is very forceful in our life, and it goes over against our rational brain. We have this rational brain, you know, that we use like a computer. It stores data, tells us when to do things, gives us all kind of information about people and events in our life. Sometimes we really want to stick in there, you know, and we shake our heads so that we become focused on our rational jobs that we have to do, and try to shake off all the other things we kind of list as woo land. And yet, when we least suspect it, here comes the tune again, or here comes the memories again. And they begin to try to tell us things. And sometimes we listen, and sometimes we don't. Meditation is a very powerful thing. Using the scripture, very popular old practice was to take a scripture of the day, clear your mind, and allow the scripture to address you. And it builds relationships about things that you can do. But there are many, many forms of meditation. Tai Chi is a form of meditation. Yoga is a form of meditation. And we have those two meditation events every week here. There are a lot of other forms of meditation that you can use. But you might begin to think about, what if we as a church, we rethought church, began to offer courses and ways to meditate faithfully. Contemplation is a little stranger. In fact, sometimes we lump contemplation with meditation. But it's a very, very different dynamic. Thomas Merton, the famous Catholic priest and contemplator, tries to describe contemplation this way. I'll read to you from his book, Seeds of Contemplation. He says, "Contemplation is the highest expression of humans' intellectual and spiritual life. It is at life itself, fully awake, fully active, fully aware that it is alive. It is spiritual wonder. It is spontaneous awe at the sacredness of life of being. It is gratitude for life, for awareness, and for being. It is a vivid realization of the fact that life and being in us proceed from an invisible, transcendent, and infinitely abundant source. Contemplation is above all awareness of the reality of that source." I suspect all of us have contemplated at one point or another. Contemplation is when you go away from the rational mind and you drop the bottom of your life out, so to speak, and you begin to go beyond the meanings of words and images into that never, never land, and there allow voices to speak to you without words and images to come into your life